lesson, we're going to be looking at a song called Komorebi by Mateus Asato. It's a fantastic song. I absolutely love it. There are a couple of things you have to know before we start this tutorial. So first of all, what I decided to do is to keep my guitar in standard tuning, do the tutorial without the capo, so that later on you can just either put the capo in first, keep your guitar in standard tuning, and then, you just have to adjust everything one fret, or you would, once you will start to play along with Mateus Asato's original, you could tune down your guitar a whole step, put the capo in third, and just move everything up 3 frets. But essentially everything would still, of course, stay the same. An additional thing is that for me, it's a lot easier. So now because we're without a capo, I can say 5th position and it'll actually be 5th position on the guitar. So for communication, it's a lot easier. The tablature is available on my Patreon page. Also, if you're new to the channel, it's good to know that I did a bunch of Mateus Asato songs like Don't Dream It's Over, Let It Be, and such. So make sure to check out the channel and subscribe because there is more coming also in the future. All right, so that was it for the chit chat. Let's get started on the intro for Komorebi. Here we go. All right, so what did I just do? You start off with your pointer finger on D2, and you play D, G, B, thumb, pointer finger, middle finger. Then ring finger on D4, right? So that's also D, G, B. Then you add your pinky on A5, and you play A, D, G with thumb, pointer finger, middle finger. And then you put your middle finger on A3. Remove your pinky, and you play A, D, G, like that. So you get? Then you get A minor 7, so that's pointer finger on B1 and your middle finger on D2. And you play A, D, G, B, thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger. And then you move that shape up a whole step and you do a forward roll on those same strings, like that. So when you combine it, the first 3 bars sound like this. All right, so then the next part starts, and that goes like this. What do you do there? You start off with your pointer finger on E5, ring finger is on A7. You play those 2 strings together with thumb and ring finger. And then your pinky makes a hammer-on in 7th of E. Then you play B, G. Then we go here, we play open D, pointer finger, hammer-on in 2nd. And then your ring finger is going to be playing 3rd of E. All right, so you get this. Once you've played that 3rd of E, you make a pull off to 2nd, hammer on to 3rd again, pull off to 2nd, pull off to open. All right, so. Then you get this part. So what do you do? After this, you play open B, then open G. Middle finger makes a hammer-on G2, slide to G4. Then pointer finger plays B3, right? Then you play open A with your thumb, and you make a hammer-on with your ring finger on B5. Middle finger plays G5. And then you play open B. All right, so you get this. All right, then you get this part. All right, so what do you do there? So you play open G, pointer finger G2, then you play open D with your thumb, and then you make a slide up to 3, back to 2, and then a pull off on that G string. So like this. Then you play that open D again, hammer on point finger D2, ring finger D4, then you play open G with your middle finger, and then open D with your point finger. Right? So like this. All right, so then you get a repeat, and everything is the same except for the last bar. So instead of playing this, you get this. So you play that G2, then open D, and then you slide with that pointer finger, you slide to 4, to 7, back to 2. So like this. You hear it a little bit less pronounced on the classical though. And then you get that quick slide up to 3rd, and then back to 2nd, and then a pull off, right? And then you play open D. So when the repeat comes, you go play this. All right? Then you get the next part, and that goes like this. Here we go. All right, so what do you get? You start with this chord, which is basically C over G. So you have your pointer finger on D2, ring finger is on A3, and middle finger is on G3. E3, you're playing a G there. And you play D and E together with thumb and middle finger. Then you play A and then E. Then you play open G with your ring finger. Then you play that D string with your middle finger. And then you play open E, and we're starting to move to the next position. So you get this. Then we are here, and you put your middle finger on E7, ring finger on D7, and your point finger is going to go on B5. And you play E, D, G, and then B, and you make a hammer with your pinky on B7. Then you get that quick slide up to 8, back to 7, and make a pull off to 5, right? So you get followed by open G. So those two bars together. Then you get the next two bars, and those are played like this. So what do you do? So you have your pointer finger on B3, ring finger is on D5, and you play A, D, G, B. Then you get sort of a slap on the strings with your thumb. So then you play that A minor 7, but you just play the D, G, and B strings of that chord. And then you play open D, G, and B, like this. Then you go to a G major 7, and you have your pointer finger on E3, ring finger on A5, and middle finger on D4, and you play this. So you play E, A, D, G, and then you basically alternate between E, D, E, A. Right? So those 4 bars in succession, 3, 4. Then you get a repeat, and that goes like this. right, so what do you do there? The first bar of that repeat is pretty much the same. There's just an extra bass note in there, I think. So you play that C over G chord, you play D and E together, then you play A, E, and then you play open G, play E, D, and then E, and then open E. So like this. Then you got this part, which is still the same. Then you get this part. So you have that same chord. So you have pointer finger on B3, ring finger on D5. You play A, D, G, B. Then you get that slap. Then pinky's added on B5. You play that with pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger. And then you play open G and B, right? So then in the next bar, you play open A string, and then you start making hammer-ons and pull-ups with your pointer finger. So you get this. First, open, first, and then you play open B string again, make a hammer-on and a pull-up, and then you play open G and D, like this. And those hammer-ons and pull-ups, by the way, that slur is on the B string. Those 4 bars together, 3, 4. All right, so that brings us to the next section. And I'll play it for you, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. You start off with pointer finger on A3, and then either your ring finger or your middle finger on E5. I say pointer finger, middle finger or ring finger because it kind of depends on what you feel is more comfortable. And I've got to admit, with me, it's I don't know, it kind of depends. Sometimes I feel that my ring finger is easier. Sometimes I feel that my middle finger is easier. I guess I haven't decided really. So whichever works for you. So you play those 2 together, make a hammer with your pinky on 7th of E, then you play open G, open B, and then you play a slap on the strings, like this. Then you play open E, and you make a hammer on, pointer finger 3, ring finger 5. All right? Then you play D, G, B, and then still that 5th position of E. Slap again. And then you play this. So that is, you still have that ring finger on that 5th position of your E string. You play it, and you make a grace note pull off to 3rd of that E string. Slide to 2nd, and then make a pull off to open, right? So like this. Then we go to this part. Sorry. All right, so what do you do there? So you have your pointer finger on B5 and your middle finger on E7. Play those together with thumb and ring finger. Pinky makes hammer on in B7. Ring finger plays G7. And then you play open B. Play slap in between, then ring finger on D7, slide to D9, and then you pointer finger plays B7, right? So then you get this part. So when you arrive here on that 7th of B, after that, on the next beat, you play open E. Then you make a slide to 8 with that pointer finger, back to 7, back to 5, and then you make a pull-off like this. Then you play open G with your middle finger. Then pointer finger goes to 4th on D, slide to 2nd, and then open. Right? So like this. Like that. So those 4 bars together, 3, 4. All right, so then we get a repeat, and most of it is the same except towards the end of it. So how you finish those 4 bars is a little bit different than the first time you did it. So first thing is the same. Get that slap, but now you play this. All right? So what do you do there? With your ring finger, you make a slide from G7 to G9. Then pointer finger plays B8. Make a hammer on with your ring finger on B10. Slide to B12. And then you slide to B7. So like this. By the way, play open E in between. Make the hammer on. All right? Then ring finger on B8. Play it, slide to 7, slide to 5, and then pull off. All right, so like this. So those bars together would sound like this: 3, 4. Then you repeat those last 8 bars, you repeat them completely, and then we get to this section. Which I think is pretty awesome. So what do you do there? So you have your pinky on G5, ring finger is on D5, and you play A, D, G, B, A, and then pointer finger on E3, like this. Right? And I play that thumb, thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, thumb, ring finger. Then you get this part. So what I do, so I have my pointer finger on B5, ring finger is on D7, and middle finger is on E7. I play D and B together with pointer finger and ring finger. Then my thumb plays E, like this. And then my pinky makes a hammer-on B7. A pull-off, and then I play that B string once more with my ring fingers, like this. Then I play E, G, E, and then 7th of G, and then E again, and then open E, like this. Then I play E, and then a harmonic, natural harmonic on D12 and G12. Then I play a D triad. So that's pointer finger on 10th of B and E, and middle finger on 11th of G. Right, so I get bass again, then the triad, then I play the bass again, and then I play the natural harmonic on G12, B12, and E12. All right, so you get this. So those 4 bars, 3, 4, and... All right, so now for the next part, I'll play it for you, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. All right, so what do? So you start off with that C over G. You do a forward roll on it on E, A, and D. Then you play A and then E, G, E, D, and then E, open E. So like this. Then you get this part. This is all exactly the same as what you did before. The only difference is that instead of doing sliding with your pinky up to eighth, you put it on eighth and then play it and then pull it down, slide it down to seventh. So like this. You have that hammer on, but then you put your pinky on eighth and then slide it to seventh and make a pull off to fifth, right? Then you play open G. Then this is the same. Then you get that G major 7 chord. So that's all the same pretty much. So you play E, A, D, G, E, open B, and then pointer finger goes to third of G. You make a plate and you make a grace note slide to second, and then you make a pull off to open. It's like this. Right? Then you repeat those 4 bars. Then you get this part. So the difference here is after you've played, which is the same, you get another slap. Then you play B7, which is ring finger on G2, point finger on D1, middle finger on A2. And then you play, so you play A, D, G, B. Then you play open E, make a hammer on in second, slide to third, and slide to fifth. Sorry, so like this. Once you've landed on that fifth position of that E string, you play the section from bar 17 to 24 again, which is this. Right? So I believe you play it once, and then you go to the Coda sign, and that is this section. Let me play it for you first, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. All right, so what do you do? So the first part is the same. Then you have pointer finger on E5, ring finger on D7, and middle finger on E7. You play D and B together. Then when you play the E string with your thumb, at the same time you make a hammer with your pinky on B7, so like this. Then you play that B string once more, you make a grace note pull off towards fifth position, like that. So I get this. Then you play E, then G7, E, D7, E, D7, like that. So I get. Then you play open E, and then because you're sustaining that D string, you can then slide it up to 8, back to 7, pull off to 6, then hammer on to 7, and then slide it to 9, like this. Then you play, hold that, add your pinky on G9, play that, pointer finger, B7, and then open E, right? So you get this. Then you play this. So you play open E, then second position of E and G. Then you move to third of G and E, and then fourth, right? I use my pointer finger and middle finger for second position, and then when I move to third, I use pinky and ring finger, and then the same for fourth position. Hold that, put my pointer finger on D2, and I play D, G, D, like that, right? So those 4 bars, 3, 4. Right? Then you sort of play that again, but in a variation. So you get this. This is the same. Then you play a slap on the strings. Then from 8th, you make a slide towards 10th. Play open D. Middle finger plays 8 on E. Slide to 7. And then play 5. Like this. Right? Middle finger, 6 on E. Pull off to 5. Slide to 3. And then make a pinky hammer on 5 again. Like this. All right, so you get... So those 3 bars go like this. And then we get the next part, and that goes like this. So what do? You start off with your pinky on E7, ring finger on G7, and pointer finger on D5. And you play D and E together. Then you play G, B, E. Then pinky goes to E5, ring finger to G5, and pointer finger to D4. And you play D, G, B, E. Then pointer finger goes to 3rd position, and you play the same picking pattern. Then this shape, you move down a half step. Same picking pattern. Then pinky and pointer finger move down a half step, and you put your ring finger on B3. And you play D and E together. Then pointer finger plays D, and then middle finger G, and ring finger B, like this. Pointer finger goes to B1. You play D and B together. Slide up to 2nd, back to 1st, pull off, and then open G like this. Then you play open A, hammer on with your pointer finger on 2nd position, then open D and open G. Right? So with those descending chords, All right, so what I'm going to do now, because there's going to be a lot of repetition, so things that we already played, I'm going to play through it, and then I'm going to stop at the sections where there is a variation. I'll explain the variation, and we'll move on. Okay, here we go. So the next part goes like this. 3, 4... So obviously there we have a little variation. So what you do is you slide from 7 to 9 with your ring finger on the G string. You play 8 with your pointer finger on B. You play open E string with your thumb, so like this. Then ring finger makes a hammer on and 10 on B. Slides to B12. Then pinky plays E12. Then pointer finger plays B10. Make a hammer with your middle finger on 11, pull off, then ring finger G12, and slides down to G9. It's like this. Like that. So. Then we get another repeat. Another one. So here is also a little variation, although it seems like there isn't. So you have that slide, and then you play 8th to 7th, slide to 5, and then you make a pull off to 3. So no pull off to open, but you pull off to 3, like that. Then we get this part. So what do we do there? So the first part is something we already did. So you have pinky on G5, ring finger on D5, play A, D, G, B, and then A, then point finger on E3, slap, and then you get this part. So this is the same. Then you play E to G7, E to D7, right? Then you go back to that A minor 7 chord, slap. All right, then you play 5th position of E, and that middle finger plays 7th of low E. You play high E and B together. Play low E, then ring finger, 7th of high E, play it, pull off, and then pinky goes to 8th of B, like this. Then you play that E string once more, and then you play this, right? So you play a grace note slide from 8 to 7, and then you slide back up to 8, slide back to 7, and make a pull off to 5. Right? So that part. Then you go back to A minor 7. There you hold, go back to A minor 7. And then you get this part. So you have that open E with a harmonic on D and G and 12. Then you play that probably play the bass note again. Then you play that D triad. Then you go to E9. And then you play the harmonics on 12th of G, B, and E. Like this. Then point a finger, 3rd of A, play a harmonic on 5th of D and G, slide up to 5th, slide down to 2nd, and add your pinky on D4 and sort of rake the strings from E to E, right? It's like this. And that's it. Sometime this week, I'll probably release the cover for this song. I still have to practice it a little bit to make it more smooth. Hopefully this was helpful. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to subscribe to my channel. If you need the tablature, probably if you've reached the end of the video, you don't. But you can get it on my Patreon page. Wishing you all a great week or weekend, and hope to see you again sometime. Bye.